And talk to me about the measles vaccine in itself. Was that ever necessary? I've heard you speak at length on this, on stage. Was it, or was that all pushed through in a moment of political need?
It was an interesting time. It was around the 1960s. And by that time, there had been a dramatic fall in the mortality from measles. So measles in the 1920s in developed countries was a killer of children, 1,200 per million dying during epidemics. But beyond that point, it fell precipitously to the point where by the time the vaccine was introduced, it had fallen by 99.96% fall in mortality rate, and the disease had got milder and milder and milder and milder. So first question as a scientist is, well, what would have happened if we'd not intervened at all with the vaccine? Would that curve have disappeared to zero? And the answer is very likely, other than the occasional death in someone who had leukemia or something like that. So measles was becoming a much, much milder disease. Then the vaccine came along and they made the case that there would be, look, we're going to vaccinate because it's one shot for life. It's going to cause no brain damage or death. It's going to produce the same pattern of immunity as the natural infection produces. It's going to be safe and it's going to be effective. And all of those promises have gone horribly wrong. They said it couldn't be transmitted after vaccination from one person to the other. Yes, it can. It can be spread. So everything that they promised us has gone wrong. Now, there are two elements to this that are crucial, absolutely crucial. And this goes to our understanding of herd immunity, the thing that we hear people talk about that is used to beat the public. Let's talk about natural herd immunity, because natural herd immunity is what led to that incredible reduction in the severity of the disease. And that came about largely because of two things. One is that the natural infection led to lifelong immunity. So children were the ones who experienced infection most commonly, particularly when they went to school where they congregated and allowed the virus to spread very rapidly. Infection in childhood, when it was its mildest, led to lifelong protection from the disease. The vaccine does not do that. We were promised that it would, and it doesn't. And 2 doses and 3 doses do not do it either. And there is a diminishing return on immunity. So now people are susceptible to measles again when they are older, and it is a more dangerous disease. The second part of this is that mothers who had had natural measles conferred excellent immunity upon their baby in utero and during the first year of life. They gave passive immunity to their baby to protect them during that vulnerable period when the disease was more severe. Mothers who've had a measles vaccine do not give good immunity to their babies. So babies are now susceptible to measles under the age of 1 when it is a more severe disease. So those two elements of natural herd immunity that led to this huge reduction in case fatality rate, at least in part, protection for life and protection in the first year of life from the mother, have gone. Vaccination has destroyed natural herd immunity. We are no longer protected. Now, what's happening is we are seeing, rather with a similar position to antibiotic-resistant bacteria, we're seeing strains of measles that are emerging that are resistant to the immunity produced by the vaccine. People are no longer protected. The vaccine does not protect them. Emergent strains are coming around that are able to cause disease. Now, woe betide us if some very, very nasty strain of measles comes along. Vaccination policy has destroyed natural herd immunity. We're no longer protected. Now we have a problem.
And so how can they justify vaccinating millions and millions of children when that death rate had gone down so significantly? I mean, it seems insane to try to put something in your child's body when the death rate is so small.
Well, they said, well, the morbidity is considerable and kids are taken out of school and parents are taken out of the workplace. And because the vaccine is going to be safe and effective and last for a lifetime, we can do it. Well, of course, when none of that turned out to be true, it was too late. the vaccine policy was not only established, but now we had MMR, and then we had 2 doses and 3 doses of MMR. And the companies were making a lot of money. And so the case became, the public relations case, the marketing case became, this is a lifesaver. Measles is a very dangerous disease. Killer disease returned. No, it wasn't. And this is why people need to understand the history. It's so important. I think Orwell said, those who own the present own the past, or control the present, control the past. So if you control the media now, and you're able to tell a story about what you think happened in the past, what you want to believe happened, and those who own the past control the future. And so, but what people need to realize, what parents need to realize, is that they have something far more powerful than any of this. And that is why they're so concerned at the moment. That is why we're seeing all of these stories and the angst about anti-vaxxers winning and better at social media than we are at the World Health Organization, because the message is getting through. They have lost the hearts and minds of the people. And that is happening increasingly, sadly, in many cases, because people have experienced vaccine injury themselves or in their families, but also because people are becoming aware. They're seeing their communities, they're seeing children damaged, they're saying none of these diseases existed before. They are now epidemic in children. And so something is very badly wrong. We need to trust ourselves. We need to trust that inner voice, because we know what is right for our children. We're capable of making the right decisions for our children, because that's why we're here on the planet. And we need to question what is going on. And increasingly people are doing that. And the vaccinologists, the vaccine manufacturers don't like that.